I'm home! Hey, honey! Oh, I didn't see you there. I'm just in my foyer here in my beautiful townhome in the heart of Coconut Grove. If you're watching this video, it's either because it's your first time buying a home or you haven't bought a house in a long time. But either way, you're curious, you need a guide, it's a big decision, there's so many different things going on in your head, you're excited, nervous, so many different feelings. So I'm gonna make it nice and easy for you. So here's your go-to guide for home buyers. Oh my goodness, this is the life. This is the life. Listen, if I was a first-time home buyer, I would buy this. I would buy this. This is just the life. The space, the lighting. Oh, this is goals. Anyways, you're buying your first place, and there are a couple steps that you need to follow, okay? First off, I want to start off by saying that you're not alone in this process. You have a lot of people that are with you throughout the process to make it nice and easy for you. So don't stress out. Just find the right people to guide you, and the process will be nice and smooth. Now, first thing is before you do anything, the first step is you need to go out and get pre-approved. And basically what this is you're gonna go to a bank or to your mortgage broker and find out exactly what a bank would be willing to lend you. Now keep in mind, when you're going to get pre-approved, they're just gonna look at your income, they're gonna look at your credit, you're gonna look at your debt, they're gonna do something, they're gonna look at what's called your debt to income ratio, which is your monthly debt payments. So they look at all these different things to determine what they think you would qualify for. It's important to do this because you really wanna know what the bank is willing to lend you. I mean, before you go out and look at houses, you wanna make sure you are looking at houses that you can afford. You don't wanna get your hopes up. And at the end of the day, without the moolah, you have no house. So you need to figure out what the bank is willing to lend you. Now, I always recommend going to a mortgage broker because they have more options of financing available to you. They go to different lenders and they try to get you the best thing possible. So I recommend going to a mortgage broker. They're more flexible, they're more one-on-one, they'll guide you more throughout the process. And if you don't know a mortgage broker, that's fine. Contact your realtor or contact a realtor, because everybody knows a realtor, and I'm sure you know a realtor. So contact a realtor and have them give you recommendations for any mortgage brokers they've worked with or know of, because everybody has good mortgage brokers in their back pocket, especially realtors. If you're planning on buying a house within the next year, I recommend you speaking with the mortgage broker already. Plan ahead. Let them know, hey, next year I want to buy a house. This is my income, this is what I have, this is my debt. What do I need to do so I can buy a nicer house, or so I can buy this price or whatever? Plan ahead. Sit down and talk with them and put out a plan so when next year comes, next March comes, you can buy that house because you have the down payment, you have your debt's low, your income's at where it's supposed to be, everything is aligned to make sure that you buy that house. So when you're with your mortgage broker, you'll discuss your different options of financing. The one question I always get is, do I need 20% to buy a house? No, not necessarily. You have dozens of different financing options available to you. I'll go over some very quickly, but this is for you to go over with your mortgage broker. You have, for conventional loans, as low as 3% down. And for FHA loans, you can put as low as 3.5% down. And then you have VA loans, which are for veterans, you can put 0% down. And then doctors, attorneys, accountants, you all have special financing available to you. Now, all this is dependent upon you, how much money you make, what your income is, what your credit is, what your debt is, and then also a big factor is the actual property itself that you're buying. Because a lot of condos, you may not be able to put 3.5% down, because when you're purchasing a condo, the bank also has to qualify and do an investigation into the association, because they want to make sure the association is strong and that the finance is in order, there aren't special assessments, there aren't legal problems with the association. That's more of a risk for the bank. So most times, it's hard to get financing for condos. So all these factors being said, this is why you need to discuss with your mortgage broker your different options. Keep in mind that if you put under 20% down, you're gonna have to pay something that's called PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. So basically what PMI is the bank just wants to cover themselves. Since you're putting a little bit down, it's a bigger risk for them. So that insurance basically covers them just in case you do happen to default on the loan. Now, I personally recommend that you put as much down as you possibly can. I mean, the more money you put down, the lower your interest rate will be, and hopefully you won't don't have to pay private mortgage insurance. So in the long run, you save more money because interest and PMI really does add up. One last thing I do want to mention about this is if you are not on a salary, like you don't know what your monthly income is like me, maybe you're commission based, maybe you're an entrepreneur, you just don't know what your monthly income is. The bank will typically request is your past 2 years tax returns, and they'll get the average of your gross income for those 2 years. That's what they'll use as the basis of your income if you are not on a salary. However, if you are on a salary, it makes it a lot easier because the bank knows what you're getting. You know what you're getting. It's easier for you to budget, so that really does help you. Overall, you have many different options for financing. Sit down with the mortgage broker, get pre-approved, and then we'll go on to the next step. Oh, I didn't see you there. I was just washing my hands. Once you've gotten pre-approved by your lender, they tell you, hey, here's your letter, your pre-approval letter, and it says you can finance $300,000. Bingo! You are ready for step number 2, which is the fun part, which is you're ready to go on the house hunt. This is where you'll contact your realtor. And that basically means this is where you're gonna contact me. Send me an email. Wherever you're looking to buy or sell real estate, I can help you. If it's in Miami, if it's in Alaska, if it's in Europe, I will set you up with the best realtor in that town. Contact me. Once you've contacted the realtor, they'll set you up with showings. They'll take you out and show you as many houses as you need until you fall in love with the house of your dreams. The one that has all the Bosch appliances and the modern feel throughout. That house, this house here. And once you do find it, then you're on to the next step. And once you find the home of your dreams, just like this one, the one that you love, you're ready to make the offer. And the offer is the fun part. And there are a few things that I want you to be aware of. So first things first with the offer is obviously price. We're gonna look at comparable homes that have sold in the area, just like this one, and then make our offer based on that and what we think is the market value of the home. And then you're also gonna put something that's called a deposit down. You're gonna put a deposit with the offer because you wanna show that you're serious about purchasing the home. That deposit binds you to the contract. So if you go against the terms of the contract, you may be in default and you may lose your deposit. And then there's a closing date. I typically like to put on or before 45 days from the effective date. Now, what is the effective date? Well, the effective date is the day that everybody signs the contract. Basically, when the contract is executed. That day is the effective date. With the FAR as is contract, which is the main contract used down here, all the dates of the contract start counting from the effective date. That's important to know. But also keep in mind, it may be different in each city and each state. That is just here with the FAR as is contract, because that's what's mainly used here. Please be aware of that. With the contract, there's something called contingencies. And these contingencies are basically your way out of the contract, okay? Now there are 3 contingencies to be aware of. Number 1 is the inspection period. Now with the as-is FAR contract, the inspection period will typically be 15 days. If you put less, it's you being more aggressive, you showing you're serious. But typically it's 15 days. During that 15 days, that's your time to bring out inspectors. So you'll do a general home inspection. Well, they'll check the roof, they'll check the appliances, they'll make sure they're working, they'll make sure that the floors are good and that everything is in good shape. They'll do a general inspection. And you can also do a pool inspection, you can do termite inspection, you can do a mold inspection, you can do a septic tank inspection, you can do a sewer scope inspection, you can do many different inspections. So you can determine if the house is in the condition that you expect it to be in. Once you get the inspection reports back, if the house is really beat up, there's a lot of work that needs to be done and work that you didn't expect, you can try to renegotiate the price with the seller, see if maybe they'll give you a credit at closing for those items noted on the inspection report. Or you can ask them to fix some of those things, or if the seller's not willing to do either of those things, you can cancel the contract. The other option is the buyer can just continue with the contract and accept the property as is. The second contingency you need to be aware of is the financing contingency. And this financing contingency is regarding your loan. Typically, the financing contingency is 30 days from the effective date. So within 30 days, you need to receive what's called a loan commitment, which basically says the bank has approved you and they've approved the property. And so you're ready to close. They're willing to give you the money to buy the house. But during those 30 days, they're gonna ask you for a lot more information. They're gonna go a lot more in depth with your income, with your debt. They're gonna ask you to fill out a lot of applications, a lot of forms. And then on top of that, they're gonna do something that's called an appraisal. Now, an appraisal is very important. An appraisal is somebody that comes out to get the value of the property. So someone will come to this property here and he'll do some measurements, and then he'll look at comparable sales in the area and give his value of the property, or what he thinks the market value is. Now, if the appraisal comes back lower than your purchase price, you have a little bit of a problem. Now, hold on, let me explain this a little bit further in detail about the appraisal. So, let's say, for example, this house here, you're buying it for $800,000, okay? Purchase price is $800,000, and the appraiser comes into the property and says that the value is $790,000. The bank will only be willing to lend on $790,000. They're not going to lend on $800,000. And the reason why the bank does an appraisal is because they don't want to lend you money on a property that's overpriced. Because if you do happen to default on the loan, then they're stuck with an overpriced property, and they're going to have to sell the property, and they're going to lose money. Going back, you're purchasing this house at $800,000, and the appraised value is $790,000. There's a difference of $10,000. Since the bank is only willing to lend on $790,000, what's going to happen with that $10,000? There are a couple of different things that can happen in this moment. In this scenario, you can, one, you as the buyer come up with the $10,000 cash at closing. Two, the seller comes down the $10,000 and meets you at $790,000. Three, you, the buyer, and the seller come to an agreement, maybe halfway or somewhere in between. Or four, you cancel the contract. Plain and simple. With the FAR as-is contract here in the state of Florida, if the appraisal doesn't go through, then financing can't go through, and technically you have the right to cancel the contract under the financing contingency. Third and final contingency of the contract is title. And this is where the attorneys will do a lien search and a title search on the property to make sure that you're receiving free and clear title of that property, because you don't want to buy a property that has a lien, because that means the lien is now your problem and you're going to have to pay that lien. So typically, title commitment needs to be given 15 days before the closing date. Once you've passed all these contingencies, you're headed straight to closing. The contract is now considered hard, where if you back out of the contract now, then you may lose your deposit. So at this point in time, financing is good, inspection's good, title's good, and you're going to closing. And this is the fun part. This is where you are getting closer and closer to your keys. Fast forward to at least 3 days before the closing date, you will receive something called the closing statement, where it will show all the closing costs, all the fees, everything that's involved with the closing will be on that sheet. I recommend you reviewing that document, and review it with your mortgage broker. And if you have a good realtor, the realtor will review it as well, so that way you have 3 different eyes looking at this document. Don't be scared to ask questions. There may be errors. Errors happen all the time, because at the end of the day, we are human. So review it, go over it. If you've noticed something that's like you're not sure about, ask the question. There's nothing wrong with it. After that, the day of closing, that same morning, I always recommend doing the walkthrough, which is where you'll go to the property and you're going to try all the appliances. You're going to make sure all the chandeliers that you expected to be there are there. So you want to show up during the walkthrough and make sure that everything is delivered properly. Then after the walkthrough, you walk over, or you can drive over, unless where you're buying, you go over to the attorney's office. You'll sign the documents. You'll give your realtor a big hug, like a big one, okay? And then maybe your realtor will cry a little bit. Kidding. And then you get the keys in your hand, and you're in the bing. And then that's it. You head on home to your brand new townhome in Coconut Grove with 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, and a rooftop terrace. And I just dropped my phone. Whoopsie daisy. It happens. You know, it happens to the best of us. Let's see. Oh, it didn't crack. Good thing I have a screen protector. I have a screen protector. And just to kind of recap these steps for you, plain and simple, is 1, go get pre-approved by a mortgage broker. Number 2 is go house hunting, find your realtor, contact me, I'll make it happen for you. Number 3 is you make the offer. And number 4 is the closing. So there's a lot of steps in between and a lot of verbiage that maybe you're unfamiliar with, but that's fine. If you have any questions for me whatsoever, comment down below. Maybe if you have that question, someone else might have that question. So I'd love to answer it down below for you. With all that being said, thank you so much to Juan Paz for recommending this video. If you guys want me to make a video about something, a certain topic, comment down below. I would love to see it, and I will make the video for you. And thank you, Juan, for giving me some insight and giving me feedback. I had actually posted this same video yesterday or last night, but I wasn't happy with it. I felt like the background wasn't nice. So I wanted to give you guys a nice background and something beautiful to look at instead of just my room, which was pretty boring. I'm always open to ideas, and I'm always open to improving, and I'm not afraid to own up to my mistakes. Yeah, I didn't really like it, and I shouldn't have posted that, but it's okay. You live, you learn, and now you move on, and now you saw this nice video here with a beautiful background. Be aware that I will be posting a lot more on my YouTube channel. I will be posting a lot more than once a week. I'm doubling down on this, so be sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on my next video. Subscribe. I will love you forever. Peace, guys. See you soon.